Welcome, welcome, welcome to Day 3, Game 2. We are on Track 1. I am Judy Bench, and I am being joined for their commentating debut by...
My name is Dilemma. My microphone wasn't on. I'm so sorry. My name is Dilemma, or Dill for short, and I'm very excited to commentate today.
So today, for this game, we are watching the Diamond Valley... Why am I having so much trouble? Diamond Valley Firetails.
You got
it. Keep going to drop parts of the name. Up against the South Sea Banshees. This should be a rather great game. Lots of new players on the Firetails, up against some experienced bodies in the Banshees. Dill.
Yes?
Would you like to do...
So we would like to start by doing an acknowledgement of country. We pay respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We acknowledge that this event is taking place on Wurundjeri land, always was, always will be.
Thank you for that. Okay, we have the Banshees lining up. Firetails has just joined them. Where we are seated, we actually do not have a direct line of sight of who's on the jammer line, so there might be a slight delay in giving you that information, but we will get that to you straight away when we can. We have about a minute before the game starts, so we will just quickly run through the roster, and if you can hear that beeping noise, don't worry, it's just end of recess.
Okay, so I'm going to start by going through the Diamond Valley roster. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, Disgrace, 155, Power Ranger, 160, Little Fury, 19, Griv Reaper, 26, Hot Squeals, 351, Watto, 525, Ballabomba, 765, Big Smack, 84, Beetledukes, 138, Dania Insania, 16, Dan Slaughter, 18, Crunch Ever, 22, Pipsqueak, 2627, Hells Yeah, 37, Jalsy, 7, Jack Spite, 8008, Smack and Cheese.
I will just point out there will be some different numbers out there just to make our lives a little bit harder. As I said, there are a lot of brand new players within the Diamond Firetails team. So they are wearing a lot of loner tops and emergency tops. So if we see numbers out there, we will try and identify people as quickly as possible. I will go through the Banshees lineup when we have a minute. However, we do have both jammers out there on the line, and it looks like we are starting with 404 Fleabag up against, I believe, that is Smack and Cheese.
How exciting.
So Smack and Cheese is a recent transfer from New South Wales to the Firetails. So this is their second game playing for the Firetails. And Fleabags has been working very hard at the Banshees to really solidify their jamming experience after starting with the Krakens and moving on up to the Banshees. So both incredible jammers, and I can't wait to see how this goes.
I'm so excited.
The jam has started. We have Cheese pushing to the front of the pack, but Flea managing to get through and out for lead first.
Excellent work from Fleabag there.
Cheese is stuck behind and finally managing to get through the tripod. Flea's on a scoring pass, running on through, calling it off quickly. And while that's happening, I'm going to quickly run through the Banshees roster while there's an official timeout. So I think they're just double checking some points there. For the Banshees, we have 01 Westy, 06 Bambi, 12 Frad, 22 Gryffindorable, 264 Scooby Doom, 404 Fleabag, 500 Smiles, 53 Luna Shovegood, 83 Vicious Citrus, 999 M-Dog, 030 Bombshell, 08 Ducky, 1-3 Grim Reaper, 2-4 Chaos, 3-1-3 Princess, 4-1-1 Lilliputian, 5-1-4 Firefly Spirit, 7-7 Calamity Pain, and 8-6 Bonnie Jovi. Now, Dill did point out before we came live that we do have on one team Griv Reaper and on the other team Grim Reaper.
Very confusing.
You will hear us refer to them as Griv and Grim, just to try and avoid as much confusion as possible.
And who do we have jamming now? I believe we have M-Dog from the Banshees.
And that, is that
Dan Slaughter?
I believe it might be Dan Slaughter in their second game.
Who debuted this tournament, I believe.
So we've been watching Dan Slaughter make their way up, and so this is very exciting for the two of us to see Dan Slaughter out there playing today.
I'm very excited. I'm a big Dan Slaughter fan, but also a big M-Dog fan, so this will be a very interesting jam. I'm so excited.
Very, very different styles of jamming.
Totally.
But that always makes it more fun to watch.
Dan is a very strong jammer. As somebody who has blocked against Dan, I fear for the Banshees right now.
But you can't go past M-Dog's fancy footwork.
Yes. M-Dog is very, very quick.
So I'm actually not sure why we're in the official timeout at the moment. I haven't actually seen anything going on, and we don't have scores showing on the board, so I'm not sure if there's some kind of issue with the scoreboard.
Very interesting.
Or what's happening. And it's also kind of novel seeing JREF out there doing the official timeout on skates instead of having one of the NSOs doing that. So I really do appreciate when people back each other up in the official slots. JREF handing it off to our jam timer. We are still in the official timeout. I do believe that Flea did pick up 4 points, but yeah, I'm just not seeing it up there at the moment. So
very interesting.
Also, I will apologise if you do hear a little bit of interference on the mics when we're not talking. It is basically we're right nearby an open door, and we have breeze coming through today, which is quite novel.
Yes,
it's been very, very hot trying to commentate. It's been very, very hot in general in the venue, especially for the skaters. So the breeze is quite nice. I am very appreciative, but however, I am aware that there might be some noise interference from that. Okay, so while we were muted, we did have the end of timeout called, to which quickly got put back into an official timeout because the bench coach for the Banshees had noticed that we were still sitting as 0-0, and we now have the 4 points on there. Okay, we have the whistle. M-Dog getting through rather quickly there. Dan Slaughter being held up a bit by, I believe, Westy. M-Dog back into the pack on their scoring pass. Bella is doing their best as offense for Dan Slaughter, and Dan Slaughter getting out on their initial. Points have been picked up from M-Dog, and they are back on their second scoring pass. Dan Slaughter using crunches back to get through almost unopposed there, so picking up points. Both teams are on the board scoring. M-Dog has been given a bit of freedom there.
Incredible apex jump there.
Yeah, showing off with that apex.
Incredible.
Dan trying to use Fury to do a truck and trailer. Unfortunately, the tripod from the Banshees stopping that. Penalty has been called, and it appears that it has been given to a Dan Slaughter for a cut track, and also Scoobs has been sent to the penalty box for the Banshees. M-Dog still continuing to pick up points there. We have approximately 20 seconds left in this jam, so it probably will continue to run this clock unless they decide to try and ice Dan Slaughter in the penalty box. I will say a big thank you to Deadly Sports Plus, who are our amazing first aiders. They are actually sponsoring our penalty box for today, as they have all weekend. Scoops released from the bin, M-Dog calling it off, and it looks like a Dan Slaughter is going to start from the penalty box with less than 10 seconds remaining.
So we have Fly jamming for the Banshees right now, who was actually just selected for the World Cup for Team China, so it's very exciting to see them play. And they're out of the pack, and Dan Slaughter is returning.
Fly back into the pack on an scoring pass. Dan is having to go up against the strong bodies of Griff, Frad, and I cannot see who the third person is. I think it's Princess. Fly through for a scoring pass. Pow and Jack are out there
and
walling
Beetle.
up with Beetle. This, I believe, is Beetle's debut game for the Firetails.
Very exciting.
They moved up to Bowding last year, however, due to their age, was not able to pick up many games. So I do believe this is their actual debut today, which is fantastic.
Very exciting to see a couple of debuts today.
It does appear like Fly is on a power jam. I believe Dan is in the penalty box, and it also looks like they have been joined by Pow. No, Dan is still out there, I think. I can't tell. I can't see Dan, but they're not being marked as a penalty. Not quite sure.
I believe Dan is off track right now.
Oh, okay.
behind On the outside.
Oh yes, I can see now. They're next to the refs. The refs are checking in with them. So
Yep.
they are getting up. The jam has not been called at this stage. And there is the end of the jam. So not quite sure what happened to Dan there. I don't know if they got a bit of a hard knock.
It is hard to see from the angle we're sitting at here. It was hard to spot Dan, so hope they're doing okay.
They are checking in with the first aiders, so that will all be looked after, thankfully. Score update for you there is Banshees on 48 to the Firetails 8.
Brilliant. I believe we have Bambi jamming for the Banshees. And
Dana Insana. Dana Insana, you were mentioning before, Fly is being chosen for Team China.
Yep.
Dana has been chosen for Team Latvia.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Bambi back into the pack, trying to call off quickly before any points could be picked up. Unfortunately, both teams picking up points there. I say unfortunately, just purely in regards to the tactic of trying to call it off and not give away points did not work in their favour.
I believe we have Watto jamming for the Firetails.
It does look like a Watto out there, which is great.
And Fleabag for the Banshees.
I love Watto as a jammer.
They're incredible.
They, again, a very strong body who
Totally.
also has the speed, agility, and all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
They are a power person. But Flea's just got these wonderfully long legs and just steps past people.
Yes. Very good blocking here from both teams. Neither jammer has made... Oh, I lied. Fleabag is out of the pack.
Scoob's returning to track from the penalty box. It does look like we have a Star Stash happening there from Watto.
Very interesting.
Star does appear to be in hand.
And I believe, is that Jack Spide who
It
has
is
the
Jack
pivot
who
cap?
has the pivot helmet cover. However, they are currently trying to hold Flea back. Multiplayer being called on Fury there. I believe one of the people in that pack that was holding Flea back there was Hot Squeals. Another new face for Diamond Valley.
Watto almost making out of the pack and then, I believe, recycled back out of the pack again.
So Watto is still the jammer. Jam has been called off. That was a rather hard fought for 4 points for Fleabag. It was a really good, 8 points I should say. A really good, tight, hard defensive pack to get through. They looked really good.
Yeah. I believe we have M-Dog jamming for the Banshees.
And that is Smack and Cheese for the Firetails.
Exciting.
We have Bella drawing back M-Dog.
And Smack and Cheese is out of the pack.
M-Dog with speed through the apex to get out on their initial. Bella doing some offense there against Chaos, so pivot on pivot. Unfortunately picking up a penalty there for actions taken. We do have a bit of a Firetail cheer squad being led by PMS over on the sideline. PMS being one of the Firetails' primary jammers last year. Lining up now, we have, that is Fly versus, I believe, Dana.
Fly makes it straight out of the pack.
Drawback there by Frad, making it more difficult for the Firetails jammer to get through, although Dana is pushing very hard against them and making progress smallly.
So we've got both future World Cup players jamming right now, don't we, against each other?
That we do.
Very exciting.
We had Disgrace coming in trying to provide a little bit of offense. Unfortunately, fell over while they were doing so, but gets up quickly. Frad heading to the penalty box.
Some lovely offense by the Banshees right now.
Fly coming through, picking up 4 points, calling it off. Dana had gotten out on their initial pass. Unfortunately, not able to get back into the pack to pick up points at that stage. And the score is now 69 to the Banshees and 13 for the Firetails. Gilesy running in to drop a message to the refs, and an official timeout has been called. while this is going on, I do want to say, if you are coming in for the final game today, please check out our amazing store holders. So Neurodivergent, Pineapple Page, Flea Bags, Talk Derby to Me, and the merch from Dragon City, Geelong Roller Derby, and Victorian Men's.
I believe we have Watto again jamming for the Firetails.
And that should be, I believe, Bambi. Bambi picks up lead. And Fury, I believe, is heading to the penalty box. Watto with star in hand getting out onto their initial. Jam being called off. 4 points on the board there for Bambi.
Just looking at those stall holders there. Flea Bags, is that run by the
That
jammer Flea Bag?
That it is. Our derby community has a lot of highly talented people within it. So Pineapple Page being the amazing Snipples from Ballarat. Fleabags is, of course, Fleabag, who is currently jamming.
And who has made it out of the pack already?
Also jamming at the moment is Smack and Cheese. They are being held up a bit, but forcing their way through. That looked like some great offense there from Pipsqueak. Drawback being led there by Griff, making Smack and Cheese have to try again to get past this very strong tripod of Smiles, Frad and Griff. Making short work of Smiles. Fury and Bella going for a last second block in there to try and hold up Fleabags. Fleabag is out, scoring another 4 points. And Smack and Cheese getting out on their initial. Directions from Harmer Miranda to call off the jam before Smack and Cheese can hit the pack. That takes the score to 85-13.
It looks like Dan is back on track jamming, which is great to see. I'm glad they're okay. And we have M-Dog for the Banshees.
M-Dog out for lead jammer. Dan Slaughter being held up at the back. A little bit of offense coming to try and help them out. M-Dog skating on backwards through the pack, picking up 4 points. Chaos drawing Dan Slaughter back to about the jammer line. Dan quickly back into it.
Dan up against a very strong wall there from the Banshees. I think that's Westy and Kay. And I'm not sure who's on the outside there from my view. Is that Calamity Payne? I believe it is.
Yes, it is. It's Cal. Dan has Scoobs as the final blocker and managing to get through on their initial there. We have another official timeout being called. I believe that we are having our first additional 5-minute break because of the heat that has been in the venue this weekend. Our first aiders, Deadly Sports Plus, who are Aboriginal-led LGBTIQA plus SB-led charity, providing high-quality training and first aid services for all, have implemented heat rules which means we do have additional 5-minute breaks, so then players can make sure they are rested, hydrated. If they need to have, sports drinks or anything like that, they are getting a chance to actually have that time to not overheat, basically. So basically, the game is being played in quarters at the moment. So
Yes.
this is the first break. We will have another 5-minute break in the second half, and the halftime has been extended by 5 minutes just to make sure everyone is safe and healthy, because the last thing we need is someone to pass out from the heat that has been happening this weekend. So we are just waiting for the end of this additional drinks break. Kind of feel like this is a little bit like the cricket when, and yes, this is showing that I do actually sometimes watch other sports than derby. During the cricket, they call for a drinks break and they all stop and have drinks, but they're normally outside and not inside.
Yes.
So,
But where we're commentating in here, it's kind of like a tin shed almost. So
most people will probably refer to it as a Faraday cage, which is why internet can be quite difficult and everything like that. Thankfully, the stream is working perfectly.
Which is awesome.
And hello to Daylin.
Hi.
How are you doing? Thank you for joining on in the live chat. So picking up where we left off, we have Banshees on 97 and the Firetails on 13. I mentioned earlier, as you did as well, how there are a couple of players who not have made their debut basically this tournament for the Firetails, so there are a lot of newer faces. And I mentioned that they were going up against some fairly solid blockers that have had a lot of experience for the Banshees. So there's a lot of learning coming from this game, from the Firetails. And that is always a good thing, you know, having that ability to go up against a stronger team and try new things, seeing who works in the right spot and everything like that. So, you know, while the score is a little bit unbalanced, it is a really good experience that is happening out there.
Totally. We have Pipsqueak jamming for the Firetails right now, and I believe they debuted at the end of last year.
Yeah, so this is Pip's 4th game as a Firetail. Getting knocked out there by Griff. Crunch is currently in the penalty box. Crunch made their debut with Pip, so again, 4 games.
I believe Pip has taken off the cap, trying to pass it to Bella. Bella is struggling to get to Pip right now.
Well, Bella's actually currently focusing on Fly, so a little bit of drawn attention. However, picking up a penalty as well. This is leaving poor Hot Squeals out there as the solo blocker. Crunch getting called for an illegal re-entry, almost accidentally taking out Fly, who was coming on through for their 4 points. Pip managing to get out on their initial, as a back block, it appears. So there is looking like there's a little bit of confusion. Okay, I see what's going on there. There are certain stereotypes around roller derby people. So yes, if you notice them at the supermarket, I'm kind of not surprised that you worked out who they were. Pow is out there as the solo blocker for the Firetails. Bella is on their way to join them, still as pivot. And it is Flea on a power jam. Little Fury making their return as well, so shoring up some numbers there for the Firetails. So I was mentioning how some of the players sort of like only 4 games and things like that. Pow and Bella, though, have years of experience, so they're actually been playing for quite a while and are quite formidable when you go up against them. So it is a good range, a mix of experience and newness for the team.
I believe they both used to play at Northside.
That's correct, they did. Bella is also on I believe, actually, I haven't seen the latest charter, but I believe they were on the Thunder charter last year. So quite a strong skater. Lining up now, we have that appears to be M-Dog up against Danslaughter. Jack trying to provide a little bit of offense there.
M-Dog doing some backwards crossovers out of the pack there.
Makes it look seamless.
Yes.
We do have a bit of a scramble at the back with, that looks like Princess Frad, and I can't see the last blocker at the back. But Griff is there showing them up.
Smiles.
Yes, it is Smiles. Thank you for picking that up. So they're holding back Dan Slaughter, and Jack is madly trying to provide some offense to them.
So Smiles is another player like we spoke about earlier with Fleabag, who has worked their way up from the Krakens, which is South Sea's C team.
That's correct. We have had a star pass there. Dan has passed it off to Jack. M-Dog's coming into the pack once more. Only has 2 blockers to get past. Well, actually, no, 3, because Dan was providing offense. I just didn't see them behind Frad. M-Dog with a lovely little hop, skip and jump. Frad picking up a penalty there. Dan providing some lovely offense for Jack to get through for 4 points. M-Dog basically jumping over everyone. I kind of get the feeling at times that M-Dog doesn't understand gravity.
A very, very skilled skater, M-Dog. I have seen M-Dog do cartwheels on roller skates.
So M-Dog has actually been a junior skater who has worked their way up, similar to Beetle. However, M-Dog has had 1.5 seasons, 2 seasons playing in seniors already, whereas Beetle has just stepped up into the seniors.
And I'm trying to see who we have jamming.
Okay, we are in an official timeout. Griv made a mad rush from the Firetails bench to get on track in time. We have Fly up against Cheese, Fly through for lead, Cheese not far behind, Frad returning from the penalty box. Fly accidentally missed the call from the bench coach Harmer Miranda and is being told, no, now you need to run it again, instead of calling it off. And take 2, here's Harmer Miranda, this time calls off the jam. So that was 8 points to 4 in that jam, taking the Banshees to 166 to the Firetails 24. We've had a timeout called to the Firetails.
I've got to say how impressive it is. Everybody skating out here in the heat today. I have been struggling just sitting here as a spectator or as a commentator in the heat. I can't imagine playing such a,
Intense, highly active.
Totally. So, yeah, very, very impressive stuff from both teams today. The fact that they're just showing up and skating is, impressive enough to me.
It is one of those things where it's sort of like, as a spectator, you kind of don't realise just how intense things can be until you're a spectator dying in the heat, and then you're going, hang on, these people are doing laps around the track for 2 minutes at a time, only 30 seconds in between each 2 minutes. Yikes. Okay, Firetails are making their way onto the track after their timeout. It looks like, is that Pip up there again?
Yep, Pip Squig for the Firetails. And is that Fleabag? I can't see. They're behind some officials from where I'm sitting.
I think it is Flea, yes.
Fleabag for the Banshees.
Fleabag quickly through for lead.
Looks like Pip isn't too far behind.
No, they have actually been called for a penalty there.
I did miss that.
Yeah, Slender Jam with the very clear cut track call. Power Jam now for Fleabags.
I was going to say Slender Jam there, who's one of the Victorian All-Stars
They are.
on the Team Australia squad, refereeing this game. So, yes, some very talented skaters reffing for us as well. We're very lucky to have them.
Just while Fleabag is going in for their final jam of the Power Jam, and Pip has made their way back on and quickly been knocked off track and back. reffing today in this crew, we have General Payne, Gary, J-Ref, Jim Peckable, Mushy, Slender Jam, and Murderface.
I was just reading another comment. I believe it's from Dalen. They said, I have no idea how roller derby works, but that's like me with most sports. These women are also impressive. Happy International Women's Long Weekend to all.
Thank you very much for that. So I might as well do a little bit of
Yeah, totally.
roller derby breakdown for our new viewers. Basically, roller derby works as, obviously, a team sport. At any given time, we have up to 5 people on track from each team. They are broken down into 2-minute jams. So it will be the same 5 people for that 2 minutes. And it is basically, we have, of the 5 people, a person with a star, which is the jammer or score point person. And we will also have a pivot, who is basically a special case blocker. And then the rest are made up of blockers.
So you can spot the jammer by looking out for the star on their helmets, and the pivot by looking out for the person with the stripe on their helmets, if that helps as well.
While this has happened, M-Dog got out for not lead, because as they got out of the pack, we've just had a penalty come through as a forearms penalty on them, so they are not eligible to get lead. So during this jam,
It's like we have Dan Slaughter for the Firetails, who is on a power jam, which
they are on a power jam and they are actually eligible for lead. As jammers, you want to be the person who gets an appointed lead. So basically, you make your way through the pack, passing all of the opposition blockers upright, legally inbounds. Once you get past them for the first time, if you are the first jammer who does that legally, you get awarded lead jam. Lead jammer has the ability of being able to call off a jam early. So jam's been the 2-minute period of time. If the lead jammer decides to call off jam early, it could be a 30-second jam, it could be a minute jam, whatever the case may be.
And how do they score points?
So after your first time through, to get out either on your initial pass or on getting lead jammer, every time you then pass the hips of the opposition blockers, so it is actually passing the hips, it's not just, I passed their leg or whatever. That is when you pick up a point for a maximum of 4 points each pass.
So although M-Dog is not eligible for lead as they got a penalty, they are able to score.
Yeah. And so in this situation, Dan Slaughter got lead. However, there was quite an intense struggle in that pack to be able to make much use of both the power jam and the ability to score points. And so M-Dog, once they got through their initial pass, they then started scoring points. From there, basically the blockers are playing both offense and defense at the same time.
Totally.
Which is one of the unique things about roller derby. It is you're basically having to be aware of where your jammer is, where the opposition jammer is, where the other blockers are. How can we utilize everybody that is out there?
And where your fellow blockers are.
Who needs help? What can we do to make this easier? All that sort of things.
So that's when communication, I think, is so important out there.
So in that jam, we had Flay out there picking up 4 points, and Cheese did get out on their initial, but did not pick up any points. We have had an official review called. So, Dill, I'm going to go and have a listen.
Yes.
And see what we can find out.
Brilliant. So Judy Bench is going to see if she can find out what's happening so she can report back to us. I will be back in hopefully 1 minute or so. Okay, looks like Judy Bench is returning to the commentary box.
Okay, we are getting back underway. So basically, the bench coach of the Firetails, Jarzy, was trying to get a penalty assessed to Fly as the jammer of the Banshees that was out there at the time, trying to get a forearms penalty. So refs went off, had a little bit of conversation, tried to work out whether or not anyone had seen anything, did all contact look legal. It has been assessed as all contact was legal. So the Firetails do lose their official review for this period of time, but they will have one more for the next half.
Again, very similar to cricket, I will say.
Bambi there as lead jammer, skating on through, picking up some points. Pip managing to also pick up some points, taking the score to Banshees on 196 to Firetails 30. So you mentioned before in relation to South Sea having multiple teams. So South Sea is actually playing in the next game coming up, and that will be their Sirens team.
Yes.
So we've got South Sea's Division 1 team, Sirens. They will be playing next. The Banshees are their B team, which is basically normally their Division 2 team. However, they also have another team in the Division 2 level, which is the Krakens. So lots of growth down at South Sea recently. But it does actually mean that there is a lot of opportunities for skaters to work on skills,
Totally.
and whether or not they decide to switch between roles and things like that. So Bambi has been known as a blocker for majority of their career, and they're out here for the Banshees today playing as a jammer, basically a role that they are shifting into now. So yeah, it is... The sport, while still very niche, is also still growing a lot. You know, we've mentioned in regards to the Firetails having a lot of new faces out there for them. They're going through a regrowth period at the moment. So it's brilliant to watch these new faces, these new talents coming through.
Totally.
You of which you're one of them. Dill will be an up-and-comer soon. Very quick call off there. However, Pip managing to snipe 1 point to Fly's 2, I should say. And we are now moving on to half time.
I will say there's definitely a lot of players to look out for on the Firetails. Definitely.
Pipsqueak
Yes.
is phenomenal. Their endurance and everything is just incredible. They block, they jam, they basically do everything. Beetle I am so glad they have debuted this weekend.
So exciting. And same with Dan Slaughter, of course.
You know, these are skaters we've watched coming up through the levels.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal to see them out on the team. And that's similar to, you know, we watched Fleabags move up. We watched M-Dog move up and all that sort of thing. So, you know, it is exciting for both teams.
Yep.
There's so much new talent, but there's also those really good experienced bodies.
And I wanted to say, like, as you were saying before, with Firetails having a lot of new players, I definitely think a lot of up-and-coming players, because Diamond Valley has produced some amazing skaters who have moved on to many bigger things. So, for example, Hells Yeah started at
Diamond Valley and is now one of the All-Stars for VRDL. You know, and we've had Bussy and
The Beast.
And even Bella, as I mentioned earlier.
Totally.
They've all moved on to VRDL. And being joint members and having that ability to come back and bring their skills and share them with the up-and-comers.
And it totally means that a lot of the Firetails now are moving into new positions, kind of like we were talking about before, because they have had some
learning
players,
those new roles.
Yeah, because they have had players like Beast and Bussy and Halsia move up into positions at VRDL. A lot of the Firetails are new players, or they're players moving into new positions. So, a lot of people to watch on that team, I think.
Exactly. Just before we sign off for the intermission side of things, let's have a quick look at penalties. So for Diamond Valley, we have a couple of players who are on 3 and 4, which not quite yet in the danger zone, but very, very close to it.
Yes.
So Little Fury picking up a couple of multiplayers there. Crunch with a lovely mix of penalties.
I will mention as well, I believe Gilesy and Halsia, are in bench positions.
I can't actually see Halsia there today, but Gilesy is bench coach, and it looks like Roxy is one of the supports. So Roxy is another person who is an up-and-coming skater.
Totally.
And we also have Spicy, who is on the bench as well.
And I believe we have Gorgeous as well on the bench.
That is correct. So there's like a couple of their bench crew are former skaters, current skaters, or up-and-coming skaters. And that's similar with the Banshees bench. I've seen out there. We've got Bruiser, who's one of the Sirens. Harmer Miranda is one of the Sirens. Scare Bear, who is an absolutely incredible NSO, who has possibly just noticed that I'm talking about them as they walk in front of the bench. And I can't quite see who their 4th person on the bench is. But yeah, it's a lot of that sharing knowledge, sharing the experience to those coming up.
I believe it's Bombshell.
Bombshell's acting as mirror today. So they are echoing back the calls from the bench. So the main person that they would probably be a little bit worried about is Big Smack with the 4 penalties there. And then moving on to South Sea, we have a fairly clean group because no one's got more than 2 penalties. So when I mention clean skating, it's no one's really spending much time in the penalty box. You know, at most, a person spent about a minute. You know, because it's 2 penalties kind of thing. But that's a sign of the experience that's out there at the moment.
Totally.
So you do kind of expect a newer team to have a little bit more of those penalties, just because people are still really getting used to being in a fast, intense pack situation. But I have now talked for 5 minutes of the intermission period, as have you. So we're going to grab a quick drink and have a little bit of a breather, and we'll be back just before the start of the second half.
See
Thank
you
you very
soon.
much.
Bye.
players are returning to their bench. We do have just under 4 minutes remaining of this intermission period. Before we actually went to intermission, I forgot to give it a score update, which was 203 for the Banshees to 31 for the Firetails. So if you are coming down to the venue, there are still raffle tickets being sold. They actually will be doing the draw after this game. But there's been some amazing raffle prizes donated by Stomping Ground Brewing Co., Bayside Blades, Corey, who, again, we were mentioning having amazing, talented people within the sport, Corey being from Ballarat Roller Derby as well. They've all made some great donations for the raffle.
So many talented skaters. So I believe the raffle tickets are $2 each or 3 for $5. So if you are here today or if you're in the area and you'd like to support Derby, feel free to come by and buy some raffle tickets.
As I mentioned, it will be drawn during the break between this game and the next game. So if you're dropping into the live stream from track 2 because you just want a score update, if you haven't brought your raffle tickets, please come buy your raffle tickets. We mentioned earlier about our amazing first aiders, Deadly Sports Plus, who are sponsoring our penalty box, and we are very, very grateful for them. They are probably one of the best first aid groups we have ever worked with within Derby, and that is because they understand roller derby and they understand the skaters.
Totally. We are so lucky to have them.
So they are on the ball all the time in terms of what are the potential injuries that could come up in roller derby, what do we need to look out for, what are some of the risks, how do we mitigate these. So, you know, they are such a great team and such a friendly team. I can't speak highly enough of them. We do also want to thank Darebin Community Sports Stadium for allowing us the venue use. It is often hard for roller derby to get venues to play in, especially when they're trying to do multi-tracks. So we are grateful that Darebin has allowed us the use of both sections of their basketball stadium.
And speaking of talented people in Derby, would you like to tell us a bit about our streaming partner?
So the streaming partner is Maven Move, which is actually my own business. I mainly do website design and development. However, with the help of the amazing Nicola, we've been able to put together the live stream for this tournament. And in relation to that, a huge shout out to regular roller derby streamer Beardcast. Beard unfortunately could not be here this weekend, but his kit lives on as he has donated the use of the kit. I shouldn't say donated, has lent us the use of his kit. So between Beard and Nicola, on behalf of Maiden
and yourself.
Mode. I'm giving all credit to Nicola. She has done the hard yards for this.
Yep. Thank you, Nick.
She has managed to put on a great stream, which I'm very, very happy about because, let's face it, what's roller derby when you can't watch it? 5 seconds has been called. Things are about to get underway. It appears like we have M-Dog up against Smack and Cheese. M-Dog through for lead. Fury trying to chase them down. Smack not far behind, getting past Greff.
Nice apex jump on the inside from M-Dog, and they are calling off the jam for the Banshees.
So that was a rather quick jam, and this leads back to the benefit of actually picking up lead jam, because it gives you the chance to either run the jam as long as you want or to run it as short as you want. So it's a tactical move to be able to call off the jam when you are lead to stop the other team from picking up points.
And we've got Pipsqueak for the Diamond Valley Firetails taking the inside and getting lead jammer. Very exciting to see in only their 4th game up against Bambi for the Banshees.
That looks like Big Smack going to the penalty box for the Firetails. Pip calling off the jam, but Bambi sneaking on through to pick up a couple of points there. So that was actually a 1-2 jam with Banshees picking up the 2 points. It looks like we're going to have Dan Slaughter versus Firefly Spirit out there. Dan hitting the pack first, but Fly just stepping over people to get through very quickly. That appears to be Griff picking up a penalty there as pivot for the Banshees and being sent to the penalty box. Griff trying to hold Fly back and managing to force a cut track on Fly.
So this is a power jam for Dan Slaughter.
Princess trying to be the last blocker, out of play. Dan through on their initial pass. Quite a few people here cheering on the Firetails. It is always exciting to see up-and-coming teams, and also those who have moved on to other leagues coming back to support.
Oh, some brilliant offense from the Diamond Valley Firetails there. Just opening up that inside for Dan to get through.
You know, there is a number of people here who have come through Diamond Valley in the past, coming in to support the team.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see. Firefly Spirit has returned from the penalty box.
And is returning straight back to the penalty box as they picked up a forearms.
So we've got another power jam for Dan Slaughter.
And Daylene, if you are still watching, please do come on down. There is still one more game after this one to be played on both tracks. So definitely still some derby to see.
Yes.
Dan being forced out there by a Griff and having to recycle back.
I was going to say as well, if you are in the area, we are playing some more games in this stadium later this year, aren't we, for the statewide Stampede?
Yes,
so that might be something you would be interested in attending.
So the East Coast Clash is teams from interstate and locally, whereas the statewide Stampede is a Division 2 tournament that is a Victoria-wide tournament. So
yeah. So if you or if anybody else has also jumped on because they've seen a lot of cool people at the supermarket, please feel free to check out statewide Stampede and
all the info of upcoming games will be on Facebook.
Because there will be more games in this area later
So
this
Smack
year.
and Choose out for lead. Looks like the Firetails are coming back rather refreshed from halftime, which is great to see. Star Pass has occurred.
Yes.
Fly to Chaos. In terms of not really wanting to go up against a person, Chaos as a jammer is absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
At training, Dill has managed to be on the receiving end of Chaos coming in full wind.
Yeah. When Chaos comes at me, I usually just let them take me with them. They are so strong. I was looking forward to seeing them jam just then, but a smart move by the Firetails to call it off.
But yeah, there's been a little bit of a momentum shift here, and I'm just going to quickly pull up our little points board. So there wasn't many opportunities in the first half for the Firetails to get multi-passes in a jam, and they've actually managed to pick up a few so far I mean, we are only about 5 jams in, but they're starting to pick up a few, which is great. We do have M-Dog as lead, and a few of the Firetails have been sent to the penalty box. So it appears like we actually do have a full penalty box for the blockers for the Firetails. So while...
so there's one person doing offense and defense for the Firetails, which is...
a little bit of a missed apex jump there from M-Dog. We do have one blocker currently in queue to return to the penalty box, but...
And I believe Crunch has returned as well.
No. Crunch is actually the one in queue to go back to the penalty box. Disgrace has returned.
My mistake.
So we will be seeing a small pack for the Firetails, which is making it very hard for Pip to get through. M-Dog, in the meantime, currently picking up a few points. And I'm just going to quickly flick to the BRB screen, just making sure that when Pip went down, it wasn't too bad. They appear to be all okay. The jam wasn't called for injury, which is great. But yeah, just making sure everything's okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Pipsqueak is okay. Thank you so much for that comment, Jared Larder. Much appreciated.
We currently have a Flea out for lead. And that looks like it is Dan Slaughter out there trying to get through a Westie-led pack. Griv and... who is that? That is Hot Squeals trying to hold Flea back. Watto getting into position in case they are required as pivot. So we mentioned earlier about the pivot being a special class blocker. Basically, they are the only person besides the jammer who can actually take the jammer star and pick up points for it. And that is basically a tactic utilised to get their jammer out or to stem the flow of points being picked up. So it is a tactical manoeuvre, being able to utilise the pivot. But it's one of those things where it's sort of
and a star pass has just happened, actually.
It's one of those things where it's like being aware of your pivot being in the right position, because you don't want to do a star pass to someone who is in a worse off position than you, because they're going to get stuck in the same place.
Yeah.
But also being aware of, okay, what I'm doing isn't working, I should probably help.
Yeah. And there's just so much to focus on when you're a blocker. You got to watch the opposing team's jammer, your own jammer. You got to watch the other team's pivot. Yeah, there's so much to think about, I think, which we talked about earlier.
So, yeah, we'll mention star stashes as well as star passes. A star stash is basically the helmet cover has come off, but they haven't actually passed it off as a star pass at that stage. And then the star pass is when they hand it to the pivot. So Smack and Cheese there, picking up lead. M-Dog blitz past them, so utilising that ability of being lead jammer, they call off the jam to avoid M-Dog picking up points.
Yes.
Oh, it's an official review. I'm going to head on in and find out what's going on.
So Judy has left to see what's happening in the middle, and we will be back shortly when Judy returns so they can tell us what is happening in the official review. So we will be right back.
Okay, so in that situation, we have had an official review in relation to a potential cut track by the Firetails jammer, Smack and Cheese. In the instance, they have determined that yes, there should have been a call given for a cut track, and so they have awarded the official review in favour of the Banshees, who raised the issue. And so Banshees will be starting on a power jam while Smack and Cheese has to sit their penalty.
And I believe we have Firefly Spirit for the Banshees jamming currently.
They're double checking their footy, making sure that they're not going to get called for a cut track.
So just double checking with the official reviews. If their official review is successful, they don't lose the opportunity.
So
Yep.
during a half, each team will receive one official review.
Yep.
If they are successful in their official review, and so whatever they called it for. Sorry, I just got distracted by the very amazing truck and trailer there by Bella for getting smacked through.
Kay just getting so close, trying to chase them down, but not quite making it.
So yeah, if you are successful in getting the outcome that you are after, you do retain your official review, which gives you the ability to use it one more time.
Yeah.
So there is a maximum of 2 per half.
Okay.
But in most cases, the general answer is if we'd seen it, we would have called it.
Yeah.
Which is fair. In this sport, if you do not actually see the penalty happen, it is very hard to determine what a penalty occurred.
Totally.
And it is just a case of someone might have had eyes on it at a better angle than what the other person did. And, you know, upon talking it through, it's like, yeah, we both agree in this situation. It is a power jam for M-Dog. I'm not quite sure what's happened because one of the blockers has returned to bench for the Firetails, so I'm not sure if that was injury or they were late getting on track. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully it is an injury. Hopefully they are feeling okay and will be able to continue playing the game. We just don't know based on what we've seen. So M-Dog making the best of their power jam situation, with Pip now returning to track.
Pip taking the outside. Got some offense from the Diamond Valley Firetails to help Pip out. Looks like Pip almost made it through.
Griff with that late hit out. However, they have picked up a forearms penalty for that. But in the meantime, other players have moved to the front, so Pip having to re-engage the pack legally. Pip managing to get out on their initial pass. M-Dog calling it off. I do believe that that's been our biggest scoring jam for the game so far. Let me just bring up that. Oh no, we did have a 27-point jam there, and we've had a couple of 24s, so...
But very high scoring nonetheless.
Yeah. That's taken the score to 275 to 43. Dan Slaughter now lining up against Bambi. And Bambi out for lead. Westy picking up a penalty there. Griff coming back from the penalty box. However, Calamity, Pain and Chaos making Dan work for it. Yeah. Cal getting a penalty, but Griff was ready to take their position. And we now have the situation where we have Griff as the only blocker out there for the Banshees. A bit of a reverse from the first half.
Yes, totally. But Griff doing an excellent job as the only blocker out there.
Westy about to return to assist Griff. Watto holding the pack. Griff picking up a penalty there. Bambi through picking up points. Danny's on their initial.
We mentioned Grim and Griv earlier, but we didn't mention Griff and Griv, which might be confusing.
Yeah, so Griff is Gryffindorable.
For Banshees. And Griv
thankfully,
for Firetails.
Making it a lot easier, being that Grim is not actually playing today.
Yes.
So we are down to Griff and Griv.
Yes, because for a second there I was like, Griff got a penalty? They're still out there. And then I realised you meant Griv. So we'll do our
Timeout
best.
has been called by, is it an official's timeout? Are we at the 15 minutes?
I believe it's an official timeout.
Yes, we are at the drinks break. So taking a short 5-minute break, I believe. And yeah, just basically, as we've mentioned multiple times, this game, there is a lot of skill differential, a lot of solid derby knowledge up against a lot of up-and-comers. But it is one of those games where small wins count
Totally.
more than the actual scoreboard in a lot of ways. So, like, there is a lot of stuff that the Firetails can take out of this game and be really, really proud of. But there's also some really amazing stuff that the Banshees are doing, again, that they can take away from this. And it's like, you know, we mentioned in regards to a couple of the skaters moving up from the Krakens and into the Banshees and things. And they're getting the track time, they're getting the chance to go out there and play a lot more than they've had the opportunity to before.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see.
But it's also a chance for a bit of mentoring and all that sort of thing. So the more experienced players going out with the newer skaters and having that ability to kind of, oh, you need to make sure that you reform to me, or in this situation, this is what we do, all that side of things. You know, if we bring up that penalty count, as we said, being a lot of newer skaters, I am not surprised to see that there are a lot of penalties, because it is very much getting used to a higher level of derby than what they've played. So
Totally.
Most skaters are coming through from our ModCon competition, which is Modified Contact. And despite getting game experience at Modified Contact, it is a big jump to then going to play at, like, in regular derby. So if we then switch here, you can see that the sort of like the more experienced team has less penalty worries.
Yeah.
And that's because once they start realising that, oh, I've been called multiple times on this, they can go, hang on, let's step back, let's readjust how we're playing.
Totally.
You know, but again, it's not a case of the score is blowing out. This is an absolute annihilation kind of thing. No, it is a chance of learning development and, you know,
Totally.
getting game experience, which is
Yeah.
the biggest thing that new skaters need.
Yeah. As we said, a lot of new skaters, a lot of experienced skaters who have transferred, so who are new to the team, and a lot of people who've been playing with the Firetails for a long time but are moving into new positions. So yeah, definitely a learning experience for the Firetails. I definitely think that there's a lot of players to watch in the Firetails.
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of, like, especially the up-and-comers, where I am so excited to see them playing, debuting,
Yeah, me too.
getting some game time out there.
Yeah.
we have watched these skaters come through, and we now get to see them out there, and it's really, really exciting. And again, as I said, with the Banshees, so they've got a couple of newer players that have only recently started Derby or have moved up from juniors and gone through the Krakens and now into the Banshees. But they've also got those older skaters who decided that playing Div 1 was no longer something that they wanted to do, for whatever reason that might be. And so they've moved into the Banshees to act as sort of like team leadership, mentoring and all that side as well. So you've got that really nice balance there on the Banshee side of things of having those really experienced Derby brains helping nurture the newer skaters.
Yeah, and it seems, lots of opportunities to progress at South Sea, and to, you don't have to play at the highest level if that wasn't for you.
Whereas
there are lots of opportunities to move up to the highest level as well.
Whereas with Diamond Valley, being that they are a single team league, they have seen those people who have gone to push themselves to a higher level move up into various other teams such as VRDL, and they're making waves, getting on charter for the All Stars or Thunder. And it is so exciting to see past people who were in the past part of the league moving on into these high level intense roles from both sides, really, because some of the former Banshees will have been moving up into the Sirens and vice versa. So roller derby is fascinating to watch because there is so many different levels and so many different ways that you can approach how you want to play.
Totally.
We are almost back from our drinks break. And I believe we have M-Dog versus Cheese.
Oh, is that Pipsqueak? I thought it was Pipsqueak.
Might be Pipsqueak. They have on the scoreboard it's Cheese, but it is Pip. Good picking.
Very close there. Pipsqueak right up behind M-Dog.
M-Dog approaching the pack, getting ready to call as soon as they hit it. So I'm not sure if you can actually hear it on the live stream, but one of the things that the South Sea bench often does is actually give a countdown as to when they expect the call to be made. And that's kind of to give them a bit of an indication of, okay, utilize these last seconds, get as many points as you can to call it off. Sometimes it works brilliantly. Other times the timing can be a little bit off.
So what was the points for that last one since it was called off?
So that was a 4-0 jam.
Yeah. Because I thought maybe Pip had snuck some points in there, but...
I kind of saw Slender putting their hand up, but I forgot Slender had actually changed to jam reffing for Banshees.
Right.
So that might have been what you saw.
Yes.
Even though I know that that happens, I kind of forgot.
Yeah, sometimes you forget.
We do have on the outside a couple of the OPRs having a bit of a conversation, just double checking a few things. So we are in a little bit of an official timeout at the moment.
Can you explain to me what an OPR is?
I'm also just watching in relation to what's going on here. So an OPR is an outside pack ref. And so in roller derby, we have 7 refs. And that is made up of the head ref, an inside pack ref, 2 jammer refs, and then the outside pack refs. Each role has a certain area that they are predominantly watching. So for the jammer refs being, of course, jammers and what is happening to the jammers or what the jammers might be doing. The inside pack ref is keeping an eye on the part of the track that is closest to the inside. The head ref is usually doing the same thing but at the other end of the pack. And then the OPRs are positioned to be in front of the pack, in the pack, and at the back of the pack.
Thank you for clarifying. It looks like We have both jammers in the penalty box right now, which means
So-
a jammer bounce.
Yes. In this situation, we had a penalty being given to Pip during the lineup period. So they were seated in the penalty box starting the Banshees on a power jam. However, Flea did pick up a penalty, which led to the jammer bounce that you were mentioning, which is Derby is not fun if there is no jammer on track.
Yes.
Nothing happens if there is no jammer on track. So what they do in relation to jammer penalties is they adjust how long they spend in the penalty box. And
I think there's going to be another jammer bounce right now happening.
and so in
Two
this
in a row.
situation, it is they will release the jammer who sits first as soon as the other jammer sits down.
And
However, when the other jammer sits down, they will only serve the period of time that the original jammer in the penalty box served. So if it's only 5 seconds, they only sit for 5 seconds. If it's 25 seconds, they'll sit for 25 seconds. So, you know, it is trying to make Derby happen, trying to make it more fun and entertaining for everyone. And there are, of course, various times where that will be a bit different, but we'll explain that if it happens.
Yes.
So in this situation, because both jammers have been to the penalty box, there is no lead jammer, and so it will go for the full 2 minutes, of which there is less than 10 seconds left.
Yes. So I believe Pip did originally make it out of the pack first, getting lead jammer. But then as they received a penalty,
They lost the lead, yes. So we have just over 12 minutes left, and score is 304 to 45. It is looking like we have Cheese up against M-Dog. Cheese is out for lead.
M-Dog caught behind Griv and Watto, but has made it out of the pack. And
Cheese picking up 4 points, calling it off.
before M-Dog could even score.
Yeah. It does look like blocker advantage will be going to the Firetails in this jam, with Westy starting the jam in the penalty box for the Banshees. So we have Fly versus Dan.
By taking the inside and getting
Almost
lead.
tiptoeing down that line. And Dan managing to get out not far behind Fly.
Excellent work from both jammers there.
Fly weaving and wagging their way through, picking up 4 points, calling it off before Dan can hit the pack. Bit of laughter there as Dan utilised Princess to stop by accident, and having a bit of a laugh of the, oops, sorry.
Looks like we have M-Dog for the Banshees and Pipsqueak for the Firetails jamming.
I do believe the Banshees actually missed the fact that Westy was still in the penalty box, so they've had a skater return to bench. Pip appears to have picked up a cut track and has been sent to the penalty box, so M-Dog is currently on a power jam. And Dana Insana picking up a forearms penalty.
M-Dog just making it through the pack, skating backwards on one foot there, making it look effortless.
Banshees opting to do a late offense, allowing M-Dog to hit the pack before they come in for a sweep. M-Dog through, picking up points. Okay, if I'm correct, we're about to have one of those weird things are happening kind of situations, with this jam being called dead. So in this situation, if I bring up here, unfortunately Pipsqueak has fouled out, so they got their 7th penalty there in the last jam. So the jam was going to continue as long as M-Dog remained on track. M-Dog then picked up a penalty, and so they've also been sent to the penalty box, but they couldn't actually do a bounce at that stage. So the jam gets called dead at that stage.
Yeah. I do want to say excellent work from Pipsqueak today. Being a newer, up-and-coming player, penalties is just how you learn the rules of the game sometimes. Awesome. So we do have M-Dog back from the penalty box, and the Firetails have lead.
M-Dog picking up another penalty there. So we had a quick look just before at the Firetails penalty board, and as we can see here, we're starting to get a couple of the South Sea.
This is the South Sea penalty board? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So we're starting to see a couple of penalties getting pulled up by South Sea as well. So, as I said, a lot of them are experienced heads, but games are going to game, and penalties are going to penalty.
Yeah, totally. And I was just saying while you were gone that sometimes getting a penalty is just how you especially as an up-and-coming player, sometimes that can just be how you learn the rules of the game. I know I learned from my mistakes personally. So we've got, I believe that's Dan Slaughter.
Dan doing an incredible job of driving Bonnie Jovi.
Yeah, which is not an easy task.
Not an easy task. To the full extent of the engagement zone and past. So Bonnie had to stop at that stage and let Dan Slaughter go on through.
Very incredible work from Dan there.
That we mentioned before that Dan was a very, very strong jammer. And that just goes and shows that. We 100%. Do have an official review, so I'm going to head on into the middle and I'll find out what's going on.
We will be right back.
Okay, so in this situation, the official review has been lost. Harmer Miranda was looking for a lead-in with the head, sort of high block, head block,
Right.
against the jammer, Dan Slaughter, when they were doing going up against Bonnie and driving them towards the end of the engagement zone.
Yeah.
The ref crew came back with, they believe that if any head contact had been made, it was incidental.
Yep.
It was mostly a shoulder action,
Yep.
which is perfectly legal in that
Yep.
instance. So getting back underway, we've got Fleabag jamming. However, Dana Insana has been sent to the penalty box for... Not a penalty I would have expected from a jammer. That looks like it was a clockwise or directional kind of thing. Frad going to the penalty box just as Griff has returned. Dana is back on, hitting the seam between Princess and
Looks like they're
Griff?
attempting a star pass. They've taken their cap off.
desperately hoping to be able to pass it to Bella. Bella is one of those sneaky threats as a
Yeah.
pivot. They are such a strong blocker,
And I believe Bella has the star.
but they are also an incredible jammer. So
Yes.
they are a double threat,
Yes.
definitely. We are currently having, I think that is the lunchtime bell.
We are right near a school, so
Well, the community sports centre is actually a part of the school, I believe.
I
so
didn't know that.
we have the bells going off directly in the building.
So we had, I believe it was Fleabag who...
Ooh, we have another official
Oh.
review.
So I believe in that last jam, it was Fleabag who called off the jam before Bella could hit the pack. Looks like we have another official review. And my fellow commentator, Judy, has head into the middle so she can return with the goss for us. Thank you for your comment, CD Steele. I really appreciate that. I will be right back after the official review. Okay, we are back. Sorry for the delay there. We have M-Dog jamming for the Banshees. And I'm still learning names. Is that cheese for... Smack and cheese. I was right. For the Diamond Firetails.
Apologies for the delay in coming back with the official review outcome. So Jarzy from the Firetails was looking for a forearms penalty against Fleabag earlier in the jab. The ref crew decided after deliberation that there was no gain to position, that they had already established themselves in regards to their position, and that there was actually no forearms being utilised to gain that. And so the official review was denied.
We've got cheese, I believe, for the Firetails on 4 points. And as well as M-Dog. Cheese has made it out of the pack again, scoring another 4 points. And M-Dog shortly behind them. M-Dog has, however, called the jam for the Banshees. So with that jam, it was 24 points for South Sea. And I believe, is that 16 or 18? 16. I have trouble reading the very small number. I believe we have Dan Slaughter jamming for the Firetails in this jam. And I believe Flea, my bad. It is very hard to see from here. Fleabag jamming for the Banshees. So Fleabag making out of the pack. Very tough getting past Jack Spite there from the Firetails. We have Dan Slaughter going against a very tough pack with the Banshees as well. Two very strong groups of blockers from both teams here. Fleabag just pushing and driving the Firetails blockers. And Fleabag scoring points for the Banshees. Fleabag making it through for another pass, scoring another 4 points. Dan pushing against such a strong group of blockers from the Banshees.
So at the moment, we do have the period clock slightly in front of the jam remaining. So the likelihood here is Flea is just going to, get a cut track. But I was going to say it was likely that Flea was going to run the period clock down before calling it off. However, being sent to the penalty box is going to do that for them. Dan is now on a power jam. There is only 5 seconds left of this game. And Dan has managed to get out for their initial. This has been an absolutely incredible game, regardless of what the scoreline is.
Yes.
Banshees taking the win, 375 to the Firetails 75. But as we pointed out multiple times, there is so much that they would have learnt from this game.
100%.
And there are so many small victories that they can take away from it.
Yeah.
You know, it is such a difference in experience levels.
Yep.
And yeah, the new up and coming skaters.
Yep. Giving them so much experience though.
Yeah. And it gave them experience. It gave them the ability to, see what it's all about.
Yeah, really, really impressed by both teams today. As I said earlier, just the fact that they're even skating today in this heat is so impressive.
Considering I've been over here slightly dying.
Yes. And we're not even skating, so I cannot imagine. It takes so much, I think, courage and strength to go out here and skate and play a full contact game of roller derby on a day like this. I mean, on any day, it's so, so impressive.
So with that, there was the last second score adjustment. So it's 378 to 75. We will leave you there. If you are in the venue and checking on the scores and have raffle tickets, the raffle will be about to be drawn in between this game and the Sirens versus Ward game that is coming up next. And basically stick around for the next game. It should be an absolutely killer one. It is a sanctioned game between those two, so there is a lot riding on it, and it will be an even higher intensity game than what this one was. I've been Judy Bench.
I have been Dilemma. Thank you so much for having me for my first time commentating. It was so much fun.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.